the machine to focus to work. That makes makes your work pleasant. So your attitude towards your work makes you pleasant or unpleasant, and not the quality of work. See how the fellow who is doing manual labor in the forest is very happy in his face, smiling and talking, while the fellow who sits in the office and does work only with his pen or with his calling bell, he is too much exhausted of his work, and he has a face like a Saturnian type of face, showing all the fatigue of work. So it is not the work that makes one pleasant or unpleasant. So a spirit of devotion makes us feel happy, and a spirit of offering makes us feel liberated. If I do something to you with a spirit of offering and cooperation, it makes me happy, not only the other person. So our work purifies us of our fatigue and unpleasantness. Always work purifies the person who does the work. If you help anyone, you are helped, not the other person. If you do some service to anyone, you are the person who are helped, not the other person. And this is the formula of work. And those who work are always happy, and those who think that they work are always unhappy. This is one top secret of work. The more one is conscious of his work, the more unpleasant he is. Just as the more one is conscious of his disease, is a patient more and more in course of time. The person who selects his work properly by doing his work in a spirit of devotion finds that he is not working but he is playing, and the work of one person helps the same person, not the other person. When this secret is known, the individual is happy, the neighbor is happy. Two individuals living together, they are happy with each other, because everyone is happy with what he does, not what the other person does to him. And the whole family lives happily, because everyone in the family knows how to be happy by doing his work. And the state and the administration will be happy, the nation will be happy, and international relationships will be happy, if at all the individuals remember that they are happy by doing their work, not by receiving something from others, because receiving is automatically increased and the quantum of work is automatically increased, and there is no necessity to keep so many man-hours of work. Within 1 hour you will do the work of 2 hours if you begin to do like this. This is the way to liberation on the mundane and the spiritual planes also. There is only one solution to the mundane world and the spiritual world, that is doing work according to thought, word and deed. That is to be able to do work wholeheartedly and with a view, with a spirit of dedication and offering. This is what the scriptures teaches about work, and what the yoga textbooks teaches about work. The Bhagavad Gita is one of the books that teaches about the secret of work. It teaches, don't think of the result, do the work which you believe good. Automatically the required result will be there, not directed towards you personally, but directed towards society. When the result is directed towards the society, automatically you will live in such a society that is pleasant and devoted. When the quality of society increases, automatically what you want will be realized easily, and it will not be a problem for you to get the results. And whatever results you get out of great exertion, automatically you will get without any exertion by doing so. If you do something with a public spirit, if the public receives the result of the work everyone does, automatically everyone receives more than what is expected of him. This involves a belief in the essential goodness of humanity in general. Unless our heart accepts the essential goodness of humanity in general, we will not be in a position to take up such a work, and automatically we will not be happy with our work. And when once we know the secret of doing our work with such a spirit, then everything is a joy to us, and environment has no effect upon us, and as far as possible environment will be affected by our presence in a positive way. So work is the key solution to thought and wisdom. Best thoughts cannot help us if we do not have the key of work with us. If the society is going into insecurity, it is not for the reason that we do not know the best things in the world. We have gone through the works of great poets and great philosophers, and we know many good things in the world, but they are not able to help us because we are not able to make ourselves pleasant. Unless we select our work and do it in a spirit of devotion, the society never goes into betterment, and only work can give us the solution. Without changing the spirit of work, any amount of good thought can never help us. Any amount of education or good books have no effect upon us, and any amount of knowledge or wisdom is of no help to us. The moment we change our attitude to our work, automatically it is the solution to everything, and society begins to live in a better condition, and society will be better lubricated by the presence of happiness. This is what the scriptures and the great thinkers speak to us about the significance of work. It should be put into practice. It's not enough if we know it. And whatever may be our profession, if we practice this truth with our own profession in daily life, then we begin to live happily. Otherwise, there is no solution, in spite of so much of philosophy and so many religions and so much of politics. So, the master key of everything is our work. Thank you all. Yes. That is a very significant sentence, but it is not so very pleasant to accept for the modern man of the 20th century. But if we have the willingness to accept that sentence into our life, it gives solution. The sentence is used in the context of what is called temptation and fall of man. I think it is taken from the book of Genesis, even in the very first chapter, in the opening pages of Genesis. And it refers to the story of the fall of man. Man means woman also. And what is the temptation that was there in this story? If you understand this, you can understand the sentence. Man was prohibited to eat from one tree, and he can eat from any other tree in the garden. The garden indicates the human kingdom on this earth, and the fruit indicates the fruits of our action or the results of our action. And he broke the chain of life away from the animal and the plant. That is, the animals, they eat when they are hungry. drink when they are thirsty, and have sex when it is season. That is how nature goes. That is what was happening in the garden of God from the beginning till today. If an animal is not hungry, if we ask it to eat something, because it is the marriage of its master in the house, it refuses to eat. And if you ask it to drink coffee, because there is a good gathering of friends in the house, it refuses to drink. And even water, it refuses to drink when it is not thirsty. And man eats when he is not hungry, because it is the marriage occasion of his friend. And he drinks when he is not thirsty, because he is in a company with his friend in the club. And the same thing with sex also. To the plant and the animal, sex has two functions. One is reproduction, that is to preserve the species. Nature appoints every living being to do certain work, and as a reward of it, nature bestows certain amount of pleasure in doing it. That is what we call the happiness in sex. And the human being uses sex also as he uses food and drink, because he can enjoy even when it is not season. Whereas the animal or the plant or the bird or the beast or the fish is protected by nature not to enjoy when it is not time. But man is given the independence to decide for himself, because he is made in the image and likeness of God, and the capacity to decide for himself is given to him, and he is made a creator on the background of the creator, and he has violated or broken the law of nature. It is that one thing that he is prohibited from doing it. That is what is called the prohibited fruit. And when once he does it, there are two curses received by the human being from nature. One is maternity is painful. That is the first curse. God cursed woman to bring forth the child in pangs of death. That is in great suffering and distress. So maternity is a great suffering only in the human kingdom and not at all in any other kingdom. And the second thing is, though there is everything in nature plenty, the human fellow learns to sell and buy, and he has to earn his livelihood, whereas the other living beings have no reason to earn their livelihood. They have plenty in nature. Automatically the food of any animal will be directly received by the animal from nature, whereas the human fellow has learnt to buy and sell. Whatever the animal gets free of anything from nature, the human fellow has cursed himself to buy and purchase and sell. So he has to live out of the sweat of his brow. That is, he has to pay some of his work before he gets his bread, whereas it is not the case with the animal, unless the animal is infected by human society. That is what this story means. The meaning is very profound, and it is not so very readily acceptable to the modern mind. But yet the truth is, the scripture lives and lives through ages, whether the human mind accepts it or not. You know that the Old Testament has lived through thousands of years, not because of the printing presses or the publishers or the universities, those who prescribe textbooks, but because it is more powerful than the weak and fragile humanity. We have to learn from it if we want to be happy. That's why it is so merciless and so direct and so simple. The sentence has a great significance. I only just hinted out the significance, and we have to find out deeper and deeper its significance if we are willing to pay some time to the sentence. That is the meaning of a scripture. Pardon? Word and deed. Deed. What we are convinced as truth in ourselves, it will be truth to us for the time being. Please listen to me. Please listen to me, and then you can ask once again. Please listen to me. See, what we are convinced as truth, we are expected to express it out directly without any obstruction. Then automatically the machine is in focus, and what is truth to nature and creation will be focused upon us. You can question now. Result. It is possible through constant practice. That is to take up some work, the results of which do not belong to you. It is for this purpose that the temples of the various religions are intended, because every one of us is intended to do something to the temple. It is symbolic of some work doing in your life which you sincerely believe useful to some other person, and from which you do not expect any remuneration. And this is the only way how to practice doing things without thinking of the results. And in course of time, the mind undergoes the required transformation when we begin to do the work without thinking of the results. For example, the fighter and the soldier in the war field, what happens if he begins to think of the result? He is concerned only with his fight. That's why his work is effective. Same thing holds good in any piece of work. And the more you are able to do work with such a spirit, the more efficiently you will be able to apply yourself to work. And automatically the quality of the result will be more without any effort. It requires only a little training for some time, that's all. Yes. In the beginning, we have likes and dislikes. It's quite natural, because our mind is not purified of the three qualities, that is dynamism, inertia and poise. Every mind is inclusive of these three qualities, and when these three qualities are working in the mind, automatically the mind is bound to have motives. So we have likes and dislikes about the work, and we are expected to select our work according to our own nature, and then we will get into focus gradually. And in course of time, when we get into focus once, automatically our mind is freed from likes and dislikes. After some time, the difference between agreeable and disagreeable work disappears from our mind, and we will be able to rise to the occasion to any type of work that is useful to ourselves or others. So in the beginning, we have to select a work which is in tune with our own nature. In this respect, we should be careful about selecting the branch of education to our children, and also selecting our own profession and the nature of work we have to do. We have to mercilessly reject what is not our work and select what is our work and the work which helps others. By following this path, we can get out of likes and dislikes, and we will grow powerful to do any work with the same degree of success. Yes. Of course, it becomes more difficult or less difficult for the fellow of unemployment according to the type of society he is living in at first. If the society has very strong convictions about employment, then the shell of individuality is very hard, and it gives a cruel suffering to a person suffering from unemployment. But in a society where there are no strong convictions about the complex of employment, one can stand on the street and begin to do something useful to others, and automatically whatever he wants comes to him as long as his work is useful to others. So there is no problem to the person who begins to work where he is and from where he stands. The process should be then and there. For example, we are able to feed not less than 100 people from the work they do. We propose work to people and they do the work and they live by the work they do. For example, we established clinics in India and we never demanded any fees or money either to the doctor or to the prescription or to the medicine. We began the experiment openly in the street, and there are 100 people who are benefited, and more than 50 of them came forward and began to imitate the same thing. When I started with 50 francs from my pocket, automatically within 3 months there are 50 persons with 50 francs each from their pocket, and there was medicine for 500 people. After 1 year there was medicine and doctors for 5,000 people. Now we have more than 100 clinics, each serving hundreds of people with wonderful results, where the patients are treated free of cost, but yet where the activity gains so much amount from the pockets of the voluntary donations that we are able to appoint 100 and more people as doctors and their helpers. The more the activity is increasing, so if the society is too much conventional, it is very difficult. If the society is a bit free from conventions and individualities, if the society is more factual and practical than technical and intellectual and conventional, then automatically there is no unemployment. The fact is, we need not be employed by anyone to do good, useful work to others. That is our experience for the past 30 years. And that is because the society in India is less conventional than the society in the Occident, and people receive free help from others and they have no complexes to receive free help, and people offer free help to others standing on the street and they have no complexes. So the less are the complexes, the more will be the possibility of the solution. This is our practical experience with the society. Now you should apply natural values. If it belongs to any one of the following branches directly: food, drink, housing, clothing, healing and education. If our activity belongs to any one of these things directly, automatically it is useful, no question about it, and no one can question you if it is useful or not. So the needs are few for humanity, and when we do not go away from the needs, any work applied to one of these needs and which removes the obstacles on the way to these needs is automatically useful, and it stands in time and it begins to improve of its own strength, and it begins to sustain and feed the people who follow the line. That is how the society is living in spite of so many faults we do. That is how the state and the government is living in spite of the great blunders that the individuals in the governments are doing. This is how nations are living in spite of our many wrong things doing against our nation. It is only by virtue of the work that is done, society is living. We are living not by our intelligence, but by our mutuality and work. And automatically it sustains anyone. One need not think of the results. It develops and it makes society develop. That is the automatic economics of useful work. If you understand culture as something different and not inclusive of these values, then you have the responsibility to define what you mean by culture.